Am I the jerk for refusing to share my inheritance with the siblings who are now threatening to sue me for undue influence? My father passed away a few months ago. In his will he left his entire estate to me, explicitly disinheriting my brother Mark, 40 male, and sister Jenna, 38 female. The thing is, 10 years ago my father gave them $150,000 each as an advance on their inheritance to start businesses because they begged and begged. He had a lot of money back then, so it wasn't much to him. Both of them blew it within 2 years, vacations, cars, etc., and had the nerve to ask him for more. When he refused, they got cruel. They stopped visiting, wouldn't let him see his grandkids, and badmouthed him to the entire family, claiming he was a miser who was hoarding their money. I was the one who was there for him. I took him to doctor's appointments, helped him with his finances, without ever touching a dime for myself because unlike my siblings I have a great job that I worked hard for, and was with him in hospice when he died. It was just me and him at the end. His will is ironclad, written by his longtime lawyer, and includes a clause stating they received their share during my lifetime. Mark and Jenna are furious. They've been blowing up my phone saying I poisoned him against them. They're badmouthing me to the family, and I'm getting phone calls from relatives that I should help them. Now they've hired a lawyer, and today I was served papers. They are threatening to contest the will, claiming I took advantage of our father in his old age and used undue influence to get him to cut them out. They offered to drop the lawsuit if I just give them $100,000 each. I told them to get lost and that I would never give them a single cent of our father's money after how they treated him. I am so angry I can barely speak. Am I the jerk for telling them I'd see them in court and refusing to give them anything? I'm honestly worried that fighting this in court will take more in legal fees than just paying them, but I'm so angry that I need an outside opinion because I've lost perspective. So what do you think? Am I the jerk? Am I the jerk for leaving my struggling wife? My wife, 32 female, and I, 38 male, had our daughter 2 years ago. We've been together for 10 years and wanted our life together before kids. The pregnancy was complicated, and when she went into labor 2 months early, everything happened so fast I could barely process it. She had to have an emergency C-section, and for a few terrifying hours I thought I might lose both of them. After a few weeks in the hospital, both my wife and our baby were finally stable enough to come home. Our daughter was small but strong, and I thought once we were home things would slowly start to feel normal again. But I was wrong. About 2 months later my wife told me she didn't feel connected to our daughter, that she didn't feel love for her. I didn't know what to say. I just hugged her and told her it was okay, that it might just take time and that we'd figure it out. I helped her get into therapy and tried not to pressure her to bond with our baby because I didn't want her to feel worse. Months went by. I took unpaid leave from work to take care of the baby and tried to keep everything together. I did the feedings, the diapers, the appointments, everything. My wife barely left our bedroom. She went to therapy and talked to her doctor, but there wasn't much improvement. My wife's mother told me she'd snap out of it after a while and she just needed time. So I just kept telling myself it was postpartum depression and that she'd get better eventually. When our daughter turned 1, I threw her a little birthday party. I decorated, invited both sides of the family, and tried to make it special. Everyone had a good time. My daughter was laughing. It felt like things were okay. My wife stayed upstairs the whole time. I brought her a plate of food and asked if she wanted to come down just to sing happy birthday. She told me she won't remember it anyway. I just nodded and left her alone. The next year my wife stopped answering her therapist's calls, stopped talking to me, and leaving our room completely, no matter how much I tried to talk and get her help. When it was our daughter's 2nd birthday, I planned the entire party by myself, hoping she might finally come out and join us. She didn't. She hadn't held our daughter in months. She barely spoke to her. I finally snapped that day. I went upstairs and told her how unfair it was, that our daughter didn't deserve to be ignored or treated like she didn't exist. My wife just stared at the wall and didn't say anything. I stood there for a bit, then walked out. After that, something in me just broke. I realized I couldn't keep doing it. It wasn't fair to my daughter or to me. I'd done everything I could: therapy, patience, support, but nothing changed. A few weeks later I packed up and left. I took our daughter with me. I went to my mother's and I have been staying with her. Now my wife's family is furious. They've tried to take my daughter. They've been calling me an insensitive, saying I abandoned her when she was struggling, that I should have stayed and been more understanding. But I was understanding. For 2 years. I supported her through everything, even when it meant putting my own life on hold. So am I the jerk for leaving my struggling wife? Am I the jerk for moving on after my daughter's death? In 2023, after fighting cancer bravely for 12 years. She was the strongest person I've ever known in my life, and she wanted to live. She beat cancer and rang the bell 3 different times, but it came back stronger than ever, and my poor girl couldn't handle it and passed away just 2 weeks after it came back for the 4th time. We were at home and I went to wake her up and she didn't. It broke me and I collapsed on top of her body and started screaming to my wife. It was the hardest thing I've ever been through. I'd give up my life to bring her back with absolutely no hesitation. Me and my wife did our best to give her the best possible life. Also, the Make-A-Wish Foundation gave my daughter 3 different vacations over the years, even though we're not American. We took her to as many places as possible because she was a huge travel and explorer. She was always so sweet, and even when she was in the most physical pain, she always had a smile and was so positive. She had a big group of friends who all loved her, and they even made a little club in her memory to raise awareness about cancer. It was so sweet. My wife's still broken about her to this day and still visits her grave a couple of times a week. I do too, but not as much as her, and honestly I've started moving on. Of course I still love my daughter to death and would do anything to bring her back, but that's never gonna happen, and constantly living in grief and pain isn't gonna help anyone. My wife last night had a big fight with me about this, which is becoming frequent. She accused me of not loving our daughter. I told her she's crazy and that I'd give up my life to bring her back, but there's literally nothing we can do about it. She called me a horrible father, and I asked whether I should mourn for the rest of my life, and she said yes, I should. It got bad and she said some things that really hurt and infuriated me, and I ended up telling her to go stay with her parents the night they're still alive, and her dad honestly seems more energetic than me sometimes. She went and is still over there now. But I can't stop thinking about what she said. Am I the jerk for starting to move on from this? I still love my daughter to death and I miss her every day. So what do you think? Am I the jerk for moving on after my daughter's death? Am I the jerk for not reporting a trespasser against my wife's wishes? So me, 45 male, and my wife, 49 female, live in the countryside in the UK. We have a field and some wooded areas on our property. The wooded section is right next to a public footpath but is separated by a small fence with, I'll admit, old and dried up, anti-climb paint. Now the issue is we have cameras, and LVE noticed a teenager, maybe 17-19 male, with a dog regularly hops the fence, walks through the wooded part and likes to sit in a small grassy clearing. I honestly don't have much of an issue with it. The dog is well behaved, returns when he calls them, and likes to just lay by the kid and receive fuss. The kid himself just sits on his phone or sometimes brings a book or two and reads. If the kid does smoke or drink, he's respectful enough not to do it on my property. I don't watch him on the cameras, but I check them every now and then and see him. Once he came alone and just sat there screaming and crying for about an hour, checked back an hour later and he was still there, still crying. He's respectful and this place seems like a quiet space he can go to, so I don't see any harm in letting him. My wife disagrees. She thinks we should be calling the police and reporting the trespassing. When I point out the kid isn't doing any harm, picks up after the dog, and it's not like we use this area, she says it doesn't matter, trespassing is trespassing. She won't report it if I don't want to, but she still thinks I'm an idiot for not, and she wants me to, but I won't. I get where my wife is coming from, but the kid's not hurting the land or anyone. So am I the jerk for not reporting a trespasser against my wife's wishes? Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for daily Reddit stories. All rights belong to the original author. This video is for narration and entertainment purposes only.